Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. Welcome back, Larson. You didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah, I was on vacation. What'd I miss?
Oh, what didn't you miss? A seismic shifts in pro wrestling. Man, even if Vince didn't retire, it'd be kind of a busy wrestling show that we have today. We're not even going to talk about SmackDown. I'm assuming you haven't had time to.
No, I didn't watch
SmackDown.
anything. I didn't watch any wrestling this weekend. I didn't watch SmackDown, Rampage, Death Before Dishonor. I was following along with Death Before Dishonor on Twitter while on vacation because I wanted to keep tabs on our prediction scores.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just dive into it. So I did a short video on this on YouTube. I didn't even put it up.
Thank you for that, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't. I'm what was I supposed to do? Here's the situation. We're going to run down everything that happened. Vince McMahon is retired from the WWE and Triple H is in charge of creative. Those are the big stories that we're here to talk about today. End of show. We're going to get into the details. We're going to talk about Death Before Dishonor, the ups and downs, and certainly there were some ups and downs with that show. We'll give you an update on the G1. We'll give you a Raw preview such that it might be. Who knows how much that might change, although if it's on WWE.com, chances are they're probably going to stick to what's going on probably through SummerSlam. But of course, the huge news, and we're going to run this down because I did a short video on Friday when this happened. I did not put up the audio for the audio podcast crowd because you know what, man, this is a big deal. And it's one thing to get the info out there on the YouTube. It's another thing. This is going in Raw. It's you and me. You know, and this is something that you and I need to talk about. And if it had to wait, it had to wait. There's no way you could have anticipated going on vacation and literally within 2 hours of you hitting the road, Vince McMahon, Larson's gone, time to retire. So
I know.
Here's the timeline of events on Friday at 1:05 p.m. Eastern, 4:05 p.m. Eastern, 1:05 p.m. Pacific. Yeah. Vince tweeted out, he just tweeted this out at 77. Time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever, together. Hashtag WWE, hashtag thankful. So a lot of questions sort of went, it was like, what? Wait, you're retiring?
Very short to the point, and it seems conclusive, but given that he, before he stepped aside as CEO, fulfilled 10 different roles within the company.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so what are you doing
retire
exactly?
From all of those, Vince?
So there was a subsequent statement, which I'll get to in a second, but before I actually really got into the meat of that, I noticed that Brandon Thurston tweeted this out, said he reported that he had confirmation that this included, which is kind of the thing that we care about, creative duties. we want somebody else to be working on the creative aspect of things.
Exactly.
So for the first time since 1982, Vince McMahon was not in control. He was not the final say for what we got to see in WWE on screen. So in a subsequent statement, he indicated that Stephanie was then chairwoman and would share CEO responsibilities with Nick Khan. This is the statement. I read it on the last video, but we're gonna hear it again. He says, as I approach 77 years old, I feel it's time for me to retire as chairman and CEO of WWE. Vince McMahon said in a statement. He said this: throughout the years, it's been a privilege to help WWE bring you joy, inspire you, thrill you, surprise you, and always entertain you. His words, not mine. I would like to thank my family for mightily contributing to our success, and I would also like to thank all of our past and present superstars and employees for their dedication and passion for our brand. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our fans for allowing us into your homes every week and being your choice of entertainment. I hold the deepest appreciation and admiration for our generations of fans all over the world who have liked, currently like, and sometimes even love our form of sports entertainment. That's when he mentions Stephanie becoming chairwoman and co-CEO Nick Khan. He says, as the majority shareholder, he concludes by saying, I will continue to support WWE in any way I can. That leads us to Friday Night SmackDown.
Yeah. So with that, with Vince creating a bit of a vacuum as head creative now, apparently on SmackDown, Bruce Pritchard stepped in as the lead with creative. Ed Koskey was also there. And then apparently Triple H was already there. This is according to Fightful's directing traffic. The producers, this is a quote from Fightful Select, producers were told that Pritchard was taking over many of Vince McMahon's television roles for the time being. Nothing permanent was announced. Fast forward today, and there was definitely an announcement. Also, it was reported first by Brian Alvarez, and I think then confirmed by Fightful and somebody else, that Brock Lesnar was not happy about the news of Vince retiring and walked out on SmackDown.
Alvarez said something along the lines of, he said something along the lines of, if Vince is out, I'm out.
Yeah. But, and then the script had to be rewritten for SmackDown like entirely because like that was the preview for SmackDown was Brock. Mm-hmm. But he came back for the final segment. I believe he F5'd a theory on the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think I saw that video clip on Twitter. Mm-hmm, maybe I imagined it.
No, he did. Totally did.
Oh, it's right here in the notes. So Cultaholic reported that WWE had been in contact with Goldberg about bringing him in to be Lesnar's replacement for SummerSlam against Roman Reigns.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Fightful Select. A lot of people, so it's basically been Fightful Select, Meltzer, PW Insider, Wade Keller had some input as well. And then Cultaholic had this little exclusive here about Goldberg, that there was some amount of panic backstage when Brock said, I'm out of here. Stephanie opened the show. There was, just to speak about SmackDown now, because that's where we're sort of at in the timeline. Enforcer and I did a watch along here on the channel, the Twitch channel for SmackDown, and it noticeably had a bit of a pep in its step. There are little changes. For example, the Viking Raiders had a match, I forget against who, but the New Day came out to sort of heckle them on commentary. New Day were wearing street clothes. Which, generally speaking, in a segment like that, we've seen people wear street clothes before on camera, but they typically wear their wrestling attire. This was a small change. When Stephanie came, dude, it was 41 minutes before the first recap.
That's something
41 minutes.
Well, I heard also that Woods on commentary mentioned Ring of Honor and IWGP.
Talking about the Viking Raiders and what they had accomplished. So there was those things. Stephanie came out, led the fans in a thank you Vince chant. And then that was it. That was the long and short of Vince. But then as soon as she finished, she wrapped up, she said, "Welcome to SmackDown." The Street Profits come down through the crowd for their entrance. So they come out, they do their thing, and then we're immediately launched into, because they did a thing in the intro that set up the main event. So they have a scuffle involving Theory and the Usos and somebody else. So then Nakamura immediately comes out. He's got another match with Ludwig. And they do a thing where Ludwig ends up winning because of some Walter stuff, but it was a beefy match. There was a lot going on there. Yeah. They go up to the top of the ramp, and Walter tells Ludwig, put your arms down. You think he's going to chop him. Instead, big smile on his face, pats Ludwig on the back, and then swerve. He chops him. It felt more dynamic. It felt like things were moving along, as I do my little shuffle here.
I guess, sorry to interrupt, but I guess the real test of changes in terms of creative approach will probably be tonight on Raw, because it's usually Raw that has the more deliberate pace, because they got 3 hours to fill. SmackDown, sometimes the pace is off on SmackDown, but sometimes they pace SmackDown really well because it's a 2-hour show. So I guess right now, if going into tonight, if we're going to see changes like that, where the show feels more dynamic, more focused on wrestling, not having to wait a half hour before the first match starts, so on and so forth. If we see that tonight and that becomes a norm, that alone's a step in the right direction,
Honestly, when a lot of people say, and we're going to get back into the Triple H stuff, this is a big story, a lot to talk about. When people say, oh, I don't think a lot's going to change, honestly, it's not in the big stuff. It's not, not necessarily, I'll put it this way, it's not necessarily in the big picture stuff. Yes, there is an issue with WWE having not built up stadium selling superstars like Brock Lesnar, and that's a long picture thing that they can change. But in the short term, honestly, it's just enough with the endless recaps and enough with the endless rematches, and that's all stuff that can be changed immediately. That's all stuff that can change now. And I hope that's the kind of stuff that we do see. You don't need endless recaps. People aren't coming back and they forget what happened. Those are the small things that can change. And I think hopefully that's what we'll get, because fast forward to Monday, we get 2 significant events. The first one, Monday morning, WWE Corporate released a statement. WWE and its board of directors today announced the appointment of Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan as co-chief executive officers. Ms. McMahon has also been appointed chairwoman of the board, and Mr. Khan will continue to serve as a member of the board. These appointments follow Vince McMahon's retirement announcement on Friday, July 22nd. They released a joint statement. We're grateful for the opportunity to lead WWE together with our unmatched management team. We recognize this is a tremendous opportunity and responsibility, and we look forward to serving WWE Universe. More importantly comes the next sentence. Additionally, WWE executive Paul Levesque, that's Triple H, will assume all responsibilities related to WWE's creative, in addition to his regular duties.
Of course, he's also head of talent relations.
Correct.
That was announced on Friday before I left. I thought that was going to be the huge news of the day.
Right. I know. No. Yeah, we did the big. We put out a count out because we were like,
That morning.
nothing. You know, we'll put out this count out, and then something happened. Triple H's name head of talent relations, and we were like, okay, that's good for the day. And then you leave, and then it all explodes. So, Fightful Select chimed in as they often do.
Yes.
The chips are starting to fall within WWE, and Triple H is working in creative again. Immediately after WWE's PR report, Fightful clarified with WWE that Triple H would indeed be heading up creative in addition to accepting those roles. On Friday, Ed Koskey, we already mentioned this, and Bruce Pritchard were largely in control of the direction of the show, and producers were told that Triple H would at least be the, quote, finish guy. WWE confirmed to us that Bruce Pritchard remains with the company and will work in creative. Last week, higher-ups were told Vince would still be available to some degree as he transitions away from the company. Talent reaction to the news was general excitement. There were some concerns raised when Bruce Pritchard was both heading up creative and in an interim talent relations role, as talent had to ask the person that handled their creative for time off if they wanted it. This is also telling. One source at USA Network that got back to Fightful about the news said, quote, that this is an exciting change.
I mean, I know NXT, while Triple H was in charge, wasn't winning the Wednesday Night Wars, but on a regular basis, and I won't get into like the minutia, the micro of the creative there. On a regular basis, the creative on NXT offered up a lot more direction, follow through more often than not, than what we've seen on main roster in the last few years. And I don't think we're going to see, especially on massive changes. What I expect we'll see more so than anything else is if they have a plan for somebody, not that they won't adapt if circumstances change, but they'll try to at least follow through on their vision rather than giving up after 2 or 3 weeks.
I think there is I don't know. It's funny because I don't know what people think when they think, oh, things aren't going to change. I just, given Vince McMahon's age, his philosophies on wrestling, I don't see how there can't be some change of some sort. It doesn't make any sense. I know a lot of us are conditioned to think, oh, it's WWE, it's going to be crap, it's forever going to be crap. But I just think that it'd be bizarre. It'd be really weird if there wasn't some amount of change. Now, does that mean Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be added to WrestleMania's main event next year with The Rock and Roman Reigns? Probably not. but I don't think that's sort of the change that we should expect. Is Raw going to change its branding to be yellow and black? Is NXT going to go back to yellow and black? I don't think so. I don't think any of that's true.
No.
However, is it possible we'll see somebody like, for example, Carmelo Hayes, somebody who obviously is somebody that HBK, that Shawn Michaels would love to see in a larger role, even though he calls himself, he's a champion, he's the A champion, and they sort of present him as like a co-A champion with Braun Breaker. Yeah. Will he become a more solidified main eventer? Will he capture the NXT title? It's those kind of things that you might see fall into place because it's now their thing. They're going to be the guys, and Stephanie, green lighting or, putting a halt to certain aspects. And what are they going to do? Think to themselves, what would Vince do in this situation? I'm sure for certain things, maybe. For certain things that Vince was good at, maybe. But it's their thing. Why would they try to get into Vince McMahon's headspace for this?
And Triple H had the quote during one of the media calls before TakeOver that we were on, where he compared WWE to like top 40 music, and NXT is like the indie band you like. And again, in a macro sense, I don't think that's going to change because NXT it was a product focused on wrestling fans, because it featured wrestling and the storylines were there only to motivate matches, and on main roster, that's not always the case. More often than not, you get stories to motivate matches, but the storytelling is just more of the same matches and more of the same story beats. And sometimes stories happen and barely even lead to matches. And on a broad sense, I don't know if that's going to change per se. I think main roster television is going to be broader in terms of who they're trying to appeal to. But yeah, if anything is going to change, and the most notable thing I hope will change is just more follow through. We have a plan. We're going to follow through on this plan, and we're not going to change just because someone has the whim to change the idea.
And I think that also just let's bring a sense of urgency back to the programming. That's what I noticed in that first, hour of SmackDown, especially, was it just felt like there was more of a sense of urgency. They do the thing that you remember from back in the day when they set something up, and it wasn't because I was like, oh, the Prophets and the Usos and Theory's out. It's going to be a 6-man coming back from commercial. No, they set that up for later on. They immediately got to the next thing. You need that sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is possible. Let's talk about some of the personnel here. Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn, notably, are two of the three sort of main Vince McMahon guys next to Johnny Ace, who's already out. I don't know what's going to happen with them, but I mean, there have been rumors for decades about the relationship between Triple H, Stephanie, and Kevin Dunn. And all the rumors suggest it ain't a pretty one. Yeah.
And there's a lot of speculation that Kevin Dunn might be the next one to depart the company. Haven't heard anything firm on that, and I don't know if it'll happen, when it'll happen. I'm sure Stephanie and Triple H are aware of the criticism Kevin Dunn's TV direction style receives from a lot of wrestling fans, and we've criticized it here as well. But despite the criticism, WWE's production is really good at capturing those moments they need to capture in the ring. And they have been. So
Kevin Dunn gets a lot of shit for things that are glaringly bad. The funny thing is the substance of what he does isn't terrible. If you one of the main criticisms that we've heard and sort of levied out ourselves over the years with AEW is sometimes they lack the ability to properly capture the most dramatic moments the way WWE does. Well, I'm sorry, that's Kevin Dunn right there. He knows where everybody's going to be, which cameras to go to, how to capture those big moments. And yes, you take the good with the bad. His action direction is god awful. Whole let's do 5 shots in a single second bullshit that we all
with crash zooms and
with
stuff
crash
like that.
zooms.
Terrible.
It's awful. It's nauseating. That being said, again, you take the good with the bad. There have been many moments in WWE history that have been captured to perfection because of his direction. So
there have been others, not so much, like when AJ debuted at the Royal Rumble, when Edge came back.
You're absolutely right. There have been others that have been lost. Exactly. Then they have to change it in post.
Or they have to release the YouTube clip of how it should have been done to begin with.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but again, if you bring in somebody or I have no idea if he's got somebody who would be considered, a protege or whatever, that maybe would be a little less, more averse to that kind of direction where, crash zooms and everything. But certainly that might be the case. Bruce Pritchard was often just seen as the guy who knew how to translate what Vince wanted.
Yeah.
You give him the script and he's like, well, Vince isn't going to like this. And so they change it until it's something that Bruce understands Vince might like. That ain't going to be the case anymore. So how long is Bruce Pritchard going to be around for?
I don't know. I mean, it's entirely possible, especially during this transitionary phase when, we're leaving the days of Vince being in charge of creative behind. They might want to have a relatively smooth transition. Bruce being there might help accomplish that because creatively speaking, he speaks Vince's language.
Yep.
And there could be a benefit to having him in the room at creative meetings too, because Triple H might, or the creative staff as a whole might think, all right, this is the way we want to do things, and Bruce could be the person that speaks up and says, all right, we got to think about this in terms of a larger wrestling audience.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see a positive in keeping him around. A lot of Bruce's creative philosophy I don't agree with.
Yeah.
but depending on what strategy they want to take with creative going forward, if they think there's a positive to having Bruce there even for a while, and if that's it, maybe they'll keep him around. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we've never really heard any like really gnarly stories about Bruce Pritchard and his relationship with everybody there. So maybe in terms of a guy who's a facilitator, if he understands his job is now to interpret, hey, this is what Triple H is asking for, go get it done. Maybe he's will be as interested in doing that as, you know, Triple H and HBK and being given the directive of the new NXT, because it seemed like they tried to do what they could with that new directive. So yeah, that sort of remains to be seen. If nothing else, we'll get a more well-rested Bruce Pritchard on his podcast if he's not there.
That's true.
And on top of that, more fascinatingly, we might get like the last 5 years of behind-the-scenes stuff from Pritchard's perspective.
Talk about that. I know. Kelly AFU here in chat brings up a name that I thought of as well. Jeremy Borash. Triple H brought him into NXT. You know, if they're looking for someone to maybe take over for Kevin Dunn, I mean, maybe his name's a possibility.
Several names who I have no idea, like, you know, what the relationship was like, but like a Jimmy Jacobs, perhaps, you know, maybe. But yeah, Borash seemed to be a guy that Triple H really, really liked. Yeah. Could he, you know, find himself on the upswing as well? I mean, Definitely. Man, you and I had heard about this power struggle going on about, I don't know, 6 months ago or so around the NXT rebrand. And it seems like a certain side is won out, you know, which is fascinating.
Let's take a quick break here. Get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Steve, I got a question for you.
Sure. What's up?
What do you do to take care of that thing you got inside your head? Your brain.
Oh, my brain? I don't know. Sometimes I wear a hat or watch Jeopardy. I don't know. Why? Why are you asking me that?
Well, Steve, how we care for our brains can affect how we experience life, so it's important to take the time and care necessary to keep your brain and your mind healthy. I mean, there are a ton of ways you could support your brain health. You could learn a new language. You could take a power nap.
Oh, I do that. I do that a lot. I love naps. They're great.
I can confirm you do nap a lot. Or you could try BetterHelp online therapy. There was a time in my life when I was dealing with severe anxiety. So I've been through the process of trying to find a therapist. I know how tough it can be to find the right person to talk to. But BetterHelp online therapy makes that process much more convenient by offering video, phone, and even live chat therapy sessions.
BetterHelp can get you matched up with a therapist in less than 48 hours, and it's much more affordable than in-person therapy. And right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
And now let's get a word from our sponsor, Bioptimizers. Steve, quiz time for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I want you to tell me why magnesium is so important. Go.
I don't know. I failed this test. Why is magnesium so important?
Well, I'll tell you why, because here's something you should know, Steve. 75% of us don't get enough magnesium, even though it's involved in like 80% of our body's metabolic reactions. And we don't get enough magnesium, you could suffer from poor sleep, low energy, and higher stress levels.
Wow. Those three things kind of describe you, Larson.
I mean, that's true. It did describe me because I did suffer from poor sleep, low energy, and high stress, but I've been taking Bioptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough, and I've noticed my sleep has been better. My stress levels gone down, while my energy gone up. And even if you've tried Magnesium Breakthrough before, you should try this new formula because it now includes cofactors like B6 and manganese to help with magnesium absorption, which means it's even more effective. All you gotta do is take 2 capsules before bed, and you'll be astonished how much better you sleep and how your mood and energy levels are improved the following day.
For an exclusive offer for Going In Raw listeners, go to magbreakthrough.com/raw and use code RAW during checkout to save 10% and get free shipping. Again, go to magbreakthrough.com/raw and use code RAW during checkout to save 10% and get free shipping. And before we get back to the show, let's get a word in from our sponsor, Liquid IV. As a lot of you know out there, Larson and I like to get together to play basketball every week. One thing we've come to realize that it is really easy to get dehydrated, especially during these hot summer months.
And it's been really hot. And the last thing you want to do during these hot summer months is suffer the effects of dehydration, because it just completely ruins your day. It's happened to me. Steve, I know it's happened to you too.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I got dehydration headaches. If I get really dehydrated, I get a headache, and I'm useless the rest of the day. I got to lay in my bed and just stare at the ceiling, man.
Yeah. My wife actually introduced me to Liquid IV a while back, and I've been using it during and then after our weekly basketball games, and I've noticed a massive difference. I don't feel as run down while we're playing, and after we're done, I don't feel as sore the following day, and because of that, it's become part of my usual routine, and not only when we're playing basketball, but anytime I know I'm going to be exercising or out in the sun a lot. We even took some with us on a recent vacation and helped us stay hydrated while we're just hanging out by the pool.
So here's what I do. I just take one stick of Liquid IV. I put it in one of my 16-ounce hydros of water, and then I'm good to go. Liquid IV hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone, and you get your choice of 10 refreshing flavors like Concord Grape, Lemon Lime, Pina Colada, and my personal favorite, Tropical Punch.
Ooh, yeah, I like the lemon lime. That's good stuff. So grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Let's move on to this. Today, I believe, WWE released an SEC filing.
Correct.
And in that, it was reported by Variety had extensive write-up on it. And here's some language that was in it that was interesting. So this is what Variety reported. Quote, the company has made a preliminary determination that certain payments that Vince McMahon agreed to make during the period from 2006 through 2022, including amounts paid and payable in the future, and that were not recorded in WWE consolidated financial statements, should have been recorded as expenses in the quarters in which those agreements were made. At the date hereof, the company has identified unrecorded expenses totaling approximately $14.6 million. All payments underlying the unrecorded expenses were or will be paid by Vince McMahon personally. And then elsewhere, it says the company has also received and may receive in the future regulatory, investigative, and enforcement inquiries, subpoenas, or demands arising from, related to, or in connection with these matters. So when this information first came out, I read this before I got on the road this morning. A lot of people were reading this and thinking, oh, is it possible that Vince made some of these payments for these NDAs using company money? Mm-hmm. Because if you read this, it could be construed that way.
Sure, right.
Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer spoke about that this morning, added that, quote, WB officials stated that despite the wording in the released 8K reported, the $14.6 million in question was paid by Vince McMahon from his own personal funds and not from WB money. Statement, the release was that the expenses were or will be paid by Vince personally. They also said, they said there were corporate accounting reasons that they released the information, will be adjusting the corporate books for 2019, 2020, and 2021 to account for those expenses.
Yeah. The interesting bit about the company has received and may receive in the future regulatory, investigative, and enforcement inquiries. So subpoenas or demands arising from, related to.
So this might have aroused the ire of the SEC potentially.
Yeah. I mean, look, I understand Vince is still the majority shareholder, but essentially that right there kind of means that he's going to be, by and large, powerless. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's, in terms of, yes, I guess he can probably like call votes and stuff like that, but that basically renders him neutered in terms of any, running the company. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that investigation surely will continue to keep going, and we'll probably learn more from that.
Yeah, I would think so.
So just a couple small bits about reactions from around the wrestling world. Wade Keller reported that there might be some belief that Sasha and Naomi may come back now with Vince gone. I mean, dude, you have to think that the status of the women's tag titles might be something that Triple H and Stephanie would both be interested in picking back up. And what better way to do it? I mean, God, the return for Sasha and Naomi in terms of fan goodwill would be massive, would be huge. It'd be a statement.
Yeah.
He also reported that some AEW talent backstage sees WWE as an option now with Vince gone. That this would seem to be, one of the obvious things that Vince was sort of in the way of, he didn't see a lot of those WWE talent. Like when you look at Malachi Black, for example, obviously Triple H sees this guy, this guy's super metal.
Mm-hmm.
Vince didn't
Made
see
it better.
it.
Yeah. You think, a lot of the NXT guys who went to AEW, when their contracts are up in 3 or 5 years, whenever it is, if Triple H is still in charge of creative, and from a creative standpoint, WWE seems to be firing on all cylinders, or at least in a much better state than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Might consider it.
Yeah,
who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows?
I thought this was kind of interesting too. This is just a personal note. Pete Dunne on Instagram just posted a random picture of him doing Pete Dunne stuff. He was in his old bruiserweight outfit and breaking somebody's fingers. Now, man, I don't suspect, number one, I don't suspect WWE is going to go back to their old ways of allowing people to keep their names. I suspect it'll probably be along the lines of back when Triple H would collaborate with Prince Devitt, with Kenta on name changes, and not just arbitrarily be given a dewdrop or a butch.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's probably going to be more of a collaborative effort with the wrestlers as opposed to just these asinine comedic names that they're bringing up.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised with some of the more prominent names that came up through NXT UK and NXT that might consider letting them keep their names. I wouldn't be surprised.
It'll be really interesting.
Like in a month's time, if they start calling Pete Dunne again, I wouldn't really be that surprised.
You think that would be a possibility? Man, I don't know.
I don't think Pete Dunne's going to be Butch long term at WWE. I
don't know, but here's the problem with that. He's gotten Butch over. Now, I think maybe he'll be transitioning away from being full on Butch. But I don't know. I hope you're right. I'll just put it out. I hope you're right.
I'm not saying in every case.
That guy though. He loves Pete Dunne.
Yeah, I'm not saying in every case everybody's gonna be able to keep their name. I think for people who have established a brand within WWE,
mm-hmm.
using whatever name they had, whether it's the name they had prior to joining or
Tyler
a name
Bate. What about Tyler Bate?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
You think so? Jordan Devlin was sort of the last of the
maybe
of the name changes. Maybe.
People who have developed a brand in NXT, again, either using their name prior to WWE or the name they were first given to WWE.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Using that throughout and not being brought up, even if like if it's a name where it's half their real name and like a last name that was created for them or in collaboration. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they stop changing everybody's names.
I thought it was the greatest thing when Shaw Samuels came in as like Jeff Harvey or something like that.
Oh, that was great.
Wasn't that amazing?
The whole story was like, why do I have this name now? I'm Shaw Samuels.
I know.
Great.
I know.
Great.
East End bookies.
Because it's like stuff like that. Shawn Michaels, and I would think Triple H are aware of that stuff and how ridiculous it could seem.
I know, but I also I do sort of understand like the business aspect of things.
Oh, I do too.
That might be one of those things that Nick Khan is able to convince him, hey, we're putting a lot of money and resources into these guys and gals, and then for them just be able to go to AEW and
but
do
again,
the same thing.
My counter to that is they leave and they'll still use half the name they use in WWE. I believe that's legally fine. So how much? I understand there's a degree of protection, but how much?
Yeah, right. Like especially like somebody like Malachi Black who transitioned seamlessly, and he evolved his character using
from WWE.
From
yes.
WWE. Yeah, I know. They can be so creative these days.
Exactly. So I mean, yeah, there's protection. You're getting yourself doing that, but they can still market themselves using maybe their WWE character, part of their name. I don't know how much.
How much does it really matter anymore? That's a really good point. If they could be, if Nick Khan, I guess maybe can be convinced of it because obviously he's got some power, but yeah, I don't know, get him
because like if Adam Cole were just coming up from Ring of Honor now, if we go back a few years ago, Adam Cole's a free agent. He's about to sign to NXT right now. Well, actually, if he were to sign right now, he'd be go straight to main roster because Triple H.
Yeah, well, I think there was always going to be certain. Be like if MJF came over, you and I talked about this. There's certain people that are big enough.
Keep his name.
Yeah.
Although I feel like apart from MJF, like right now, there's only a handful of people, especially from companies outside WWE or AEW who'd come in and be able to keep their names.
So, okay, let's move on to this then, because this is a great segue.
Yes.
What do you think is more likely to happen? The next time we see formerly known as Eli Drake, he will be LA Knight or Max Dupri. Because
LA Knight. Oh, you don't really answer the question yet.
PW Torch is reporting that Max Dupri, formerly LA Knight, and maybe LA Knight again if Larson
the once
is to
and
be,
future LA Knight, yes.
Is apparently done leading Maximum Male Models. PW Torch states that Max Dupri, sources indicate, had rubbed some people the wrong way and wasn't fitting in. So a decision was made by Vince McMahon a couple weeks ago to write him out of the storyline. Max knew last week he was making his final appearance when he plugged his sister would show up on SmackDown this week.
It was Sophia Cromwell, right? From NXT.
Correct, yeah. So, Larson, could you just fucking imagine this for a second, right? You're LA Knight, right? You came into NXT, and because this dude has the gift of gab, he was the most popular guy in NXT 2.0. And I don't even think that could be debated. So he comes in and they scrub him, right? Like he never really won anything significant.
No, it seemed like they just brought him in as like a hand.
Right. But he was this dude could talk.
He got himself over.
So what do they do when they bring him to main roster? Instead of being a wrestler, he's a manager. Is he a manager of a wrestler? No, he's the manager of a male model agency. Now, according to, I believe it was Fightful Select, Maximum Male Models was all Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
and this is the least shocking news possible.
Yeah.
This was all Vince. His idea, probably his name, because it's terrible and it's alliterative. And so they give Max Dupri, they say, hey, you know your great promo voice, which is like half Stone Cold and half The Rock. Well, more like 80 The Rock and 20 Stone Cold.
Yeah.
You're not going to use that. The thing that you got to get yourself over with everybody. You can't use that. You're going to whisper talk. You're going to sort of ASMR talk. You're going to be the manager of a modeling agency, which is just a big joke. And by the way, it was still pretty damn funny. Like, he was really good at it.
He got it over. Mansoor got it over, and Mace got it over.
Right. That being said, seemingly Max Dupri, LA Knight, Eli Drake wanted nothing to do with this. Not shocking at all, because it's nothing. It doesn't play to any of his strengths.
It doesn't, and he's 39 years old. He's got plenty of time left in the ring, and you come to, I would imagine, WWE to get to the top as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. You signed with the company as a wrestler to wrestle for that company. Mm-hmm. And in so many ways, LA Knight, Eli Drake checks all the boxes you'd think WWE would want from a wrestler.
Right. Yeah.
He's great on the mic.
Yeah.
He's good in the ring. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't think he's going to carry anybody to a 5-star match, but he had some pretty decent matches in NXT. He's not a bad wrestler.
No, he's made for main roster.
He totally is.
He is made like that wrestling style of his. It's main roster.
It really
wrestling.
is.
Yeah.
And he's proven time and again wherever he's at, he can get himself over.
I know.
And maybe Vince just saw that last thing. Well, this guy can get anything over. Let's see if he can get this over.
Well, there's yet another question. You mentioned his age, 39 years old. We had known that the WWE under Vince McMahon wanted to go super young. They want people to make their call-ups to main roster at the age of 25, not 35. Mm-hmm. Is that going to change? Again, lots of questions out there that only time will sort of tell. Are they going to start competing for people like, for example, Kevin Blackwood, who was already in? He was in NXT, wasn't he?
Was he?
Was he? Or was that a different guy? Was that
You're
Anthony,
thinking of
Astor?
Eli? Oh, Anthony Henry was in
Anthony
NXT,
Henry was.
Yes.
Blackwood wasn't?
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of Eli Cottonwood.
Fuck, I don't even know that name.
He was in NXT.
Who is that guy? That sounds vaguely familiar. So I don't know, man. I mean, are they going to go after like the bigger names in the independent ranks? Are they going to compete with AEW for those names?
It's entirely possible, man.
I don't know, but Max Dupri, this is going to be very interesting because probably the top name who benefits at this very moment from Vince being gone is Max Dupri. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be LA Knight.
You know what you could do? Keep him off TV for a few weeks. Have him show up on Raw.
Have him show up on the Raw after SummerSlam.
Yeah, just act like the Maximum Male Model stuff just didn't happen.
I wonder, but
different show, different universe, never happened.
They got Maxine head Maximum Male Models. Are they going to be gone? Is Triple H going to come and be like,
no, here's the thing.
I don't get this.
LA Knight, Max Dupri's older brother.
I love your idea.
of the tag team of LA Knight and Ezekiel.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. Guys who could be either 29 or 45, we're not sure.
Yeah, makes all the sense. Let's talk about something that doesn't make any sense. FTR Briscoes. This is Steve's words. I didn't watch Death Before Dishonor yet, but I heard it was really good. Stole the show. This Death Before Dishonor kind of Ring of Honor reboot on Saturday. But there's the curious case of Claudio winning the Ring of Honor title from Jonathan Gresham in such an underwhelming fashion. Had a bunch of us scratching your heads. Apparently, there was a bit of a dust-up, seemingly quite a dust-up, between Gresham and Tony Khan before the show. So Fightful Select reporting that Gresham asked for his release from AEW / Ring of Honor before Death Before Dishonor. Apparently there was a lack of communication between the company and Gresham leading up to that weekend. And then Fightful Select reporting that Gresham, quote, felt disrespected by this. And then Fightful Select was also told that Gresham got himself a meeting with Tony Khan before the show, communicated his frustration, and that led to him, quote, cussing out Khan. Several talent then confirmed this to Fightful following Death Before Dishonor. Gresham defended that Ring of Honor title, I don't know, at least a dozen times after their final show, final battle last year, and Tony Khan announcing that he had bought the company. Gresham put in so much work to keep Ring of Honor a viable brand when they had no TV, no pay-per-views. He was defending that title all over the place.
Yep. And
then for him to lose in, what, you said 13 minutes?
Yeah, I think it was 13 minutes or so, yeah.
Is ridiculous.
It was
Give the man the respect he deserves for keeping that company relevant and viable for the 8 months. It wasn't doing anything.
Dude, he didn't get much of any offense in. This was, I'm not going to call it a squash necessarily, but Claudio just got all of his shit in, and then that was it. Gresham came out, you could tell Gresham came out in like his merch shirt instead of the big octopus thing.
Yeah.
So this was kind of interesting. So like right before Death Before Dishonor, this interview with Gresham from Wrestle Purists dropped. Mm-hmm. He had some very interesting things to say. I recommend everybody check it out. He was asked about his relationship with Tony Khan and if he believed Tony Khan is a fan of the technical wrestling style and Gresham's style. He says, to be honest, I've not really talked to him. I don't know what he thinks about me. I've had very short conversations with him. When I say short, I mean short, so I don't know. I would hope he values me. I don't know, though. So we'll find out in the coming weeks, months, I guess. He also was asked about the decision behind him joining Tully Blanchard Enterprises. So, side note here, Tully Blanchard is now apparently done with Ring of Honor and AEW. He, quote-unquote, in kayfabe, sold Tully Blanchard Enterprises to Prince Nana, I think his name was.
They're the embassy now, right?
They're the embassy now. That happened in the pre-show. So he said this about him going heel and joining Tully Blanchard Enterprises. He says, I arrived at TV one day, and then I was told that's what I was doing. And I was like, okay. I don't know if it was super thought through. I don't know anything. All I know is what I was told. All right, let's make it work. That's such a WWE thing, and I mean that in a bad way.
Yeah, I know. It is. I when they had him turn heel, it was head scratching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't get it. Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious that Tony Khan's approach to Ring of Honor is that he wants to get the most prominent names he can holding all the championships to try to help procure. Again, this isn't official. This is just how I'm interpreting what I'm seeing here. Mm-hmm. To try to procure himself a TV deal for Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if that's his approach, all right. You could do that and still show respect to the people who help keep Ring of Honor relevant and prominent while there was no TV.
Yeah.
And that's Jonathan Gresham. And to not communicate with him, to apparently book him in a match where he didn't get a whole lot of stuff off, and just, I don't know.
Well, this isn't the first time that we've heard Tony Khan has a hard time communicating with his talent.
Yes.
We've heard this many, many other times where dude, this is just shades of Vince. It's the same bullshit where, the guy who's booking the show, you buy a company, and look, he plunked down the money for it. It's his to do what he sees fit, right? But I just don't get the philosophy is you buy this company, and the guy who's been busting his ass defending this title, keeping the name of this company alive, it was dead. Mm-hmm. It was dead before Gresham, or without Gresham, I should say. Keeping that title alive, and you chump him out like this. You don't give him the respect of bringing him in and saying, hey, this is my goal. Claudio is a bigger name than you, so we need to get him to the point of being the champion.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what you've done. Let's work together in getting us there. Now, we haven't heard the other side of this, Khan's side of this.
Definitely.
We just know what we have in front of us. And that match could have been like a 20-minute banger where Claudio
25 minutes of awesomeness.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Claudio is pushed to the absolute limit by this guy, and then he ekes out a win. This was not that. This was not that at all.
Definitely.
But yeah, this is very much an interesting situation, a head-scratching one, and a disappointing one, because his story was Ring of Honor, and he comes in and just like that, he's gone.
Yeah, I know. It's mind-boggling. I don't get it. I don't get it. You mean you have an opportunity to tell a potentially good story in the ring and put on a hell of a bout? Mm-hmm. You just don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it for whatever reason. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
Let me go ahead and load up the results here because I didn't take any notes for Death Before Dishonor. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us. Me and the Enforcer watched it over there at the MF Steve here Twitch channel. Let's see here. Didn't watch this match. Didn't watch half the kickoff show. Colt Cabana defeated Anthony Henry. Legend in Ring of Honor. Colt Cabana, friend of the show here, Colt Cabana.
Yeah.
The Trust Busters. Ari Daivari and Slim J defeated the Shinobi Shadow Squad.
They had a video package on AEW programming, so I knew they were going to win.
Right, yeah. I think they have Harlan, don't they?
Yeah.
Parker Boudreaux.
That's right.
He ain't losing.
The Embassy. That's Brian Cage and Gates of Agony.
Mm-hmm.
They're not Tully Blanchard Enterprises anymore. Steve mentioned that. Defeated Alex Zane, Blake Christian, and Tony Deppen. And then Willow Nightingale defeated Allison Kay. And then to open the show, that's another thing. Your Ring of Honor title match opened the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Claudio defeated Jonathan Gresham. It says here on Wikipedia, 11 minutes and 30 seconds how long the match was. The second shortest match on the main card. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
20 minutes. Anything less than 20 minutes.
They gave 5 more seconds to the Embassy match.
Oh my gosh. What the hell?
What the hell's right?
What the hell?
Yeah. Hey, I did watch the Willow Nightingale Allison Kay match. If Willow Nightingale, she should be the first billionaire wrestler. She's got $1 billion potential. She has $1 billion charisma, Larson.
Mm-hmm.
Willow's great. Mm-hmm. She defeated Allison Kay. I watched that match. It was a good match. I hope Allison Kay sticks around Ring of Honor too. She's terrific.
She is great. Dalton Castle and the boys defeated the Righteous. So maybe Vince would stick around in Impact for a while. Wheeler Yuta defeated Daniel Garcia. Heard this was a good match.
Oh, this was a good match. But I'll be honest with you, the next match here, I know, look, FTR Briscoe, that's a match of the year candidate. It really is. Roosh versus Dragon Lee was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
These guys were doing some crazy, these brothers, because they're legit brothers, they were doing crazy shit, man. Oh my God. There was this table spot that didn't physically make any sense. Like in the world of physics, it didn't make any sense. Roosh was laid out on a table. Dragon Lee does this like a suicide dive, but it's like he does it. It's like he's like perfectly like parallel to friggin' Roosh in the table, yet somehow he like goes on. I don't know. It was crazy shit. Yeah, they were throwing each other all over the place, just beating the crap out of each other.
Amazing. I got to check it out. Mercedes Martinez successfully defended her Ring of Honor Women's title against Serena Deeb. Samoa Joe beat Jay Lethal. And then looks like here FTR beat the Briscoes 2-1 in their 2 out of 3 falls bout.
Holy crap. They beat the living shit out of each other. That was a hell of a match. It probably was better than their first one. So I mean, it's no LA Park Viano 4, but it's up there.
Yeah, I don't know if anything's going to be better than Viano 4 versus LA Park this year.
I've already decided that nothing. I don't care if it's like the best match ever. Like
that match was incredible.
Nothing's going to beat that match for me, dude.
That match was incredible. That was edge of my seat stuff.
Oh man, absolutely.
Let's talk the G1. We've had 3 more nights of action since the last time we talked about it. Here are some results. On night 3, Bad Luck Fale defeated Lance Archer. Tama Tonga defeated Chase Owens. Hiroki Goto, bit of an upset here, defeated Tetsuya Naito.
Oh wow.
Yujiro Takahashi defeated David Finlay. On night 4, Jay White defeated Tomohiro Ishii. Shingo Takagi defeated Yoshihashi. Okada beat Yano. And then Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Aaron Henare and then dropped one of the best promos I've seen in a long time. Thanks for sharing that with me, Steve.
Oh, that George Michael Prince in the Lake District. And then I popped so hardcore. Yesterday I was with my family for breakfast. My sister and my brother-in-law are about to head back to Scotland because that's where he's from. And he was telling my dad, he was like, hey, Dodo, we're going to go hit up the Lake District. And I was like, did you see the same promo I did?
Yeah.
Is Prince and George Michael going to be there?
Night 5, Go Ace Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Tetsuya Naito. Naito's 0-2 so far. No points.
Ugh.
But here's the thing about Naito. Granted, I follow Naito on Twitter, so maybe that's part of it. Like, there's so much promotional stuff with the G1 and him specifically. Like, I don't feel like he's... Like, the story going into this, he feels like he's had a bad year and hasn't delivered on anything.
Yeah.
So maybe... Because this next match is against Evil.
Okay.
Evil's going to bring it out of him. Naito's going to run the table the rest of the way. He'll win his block. Don't worry about it, Steve. Mark my words.
All right. Let's get those.
I'm saying that, too, because he's my pick to winner.
Yeah,
to win the whole thing, and he's your pick to win as well. LP...
You need points to win this thing, Naito.
I know. He's got, 4 matches left? Is that right? He's going to win them all. LP defeated Yujiro Takahashi. Jeff Cobb defeated Bad Luck Fale. And then Sonata beat Taichi. So our prediction scores. Enforcer in the lead with 26.
Ooh.
Steve, next, 24. I'm in last right now, 22.
All right. Well, still a lot of G1 left. That's for August. For July, you currently have a 1-point lead over me, thanks to Death Before Dishonor. And Enforcer's down by 5, I think.
I think
from the lead spot, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's down 5.
6.
He's down 6 from the lead spot. 5 to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot to make up coming up with SummerSlam as the final event of our July predictions. Let's talk about Raw, and then we'll get into some questions. We got a Raw preview here. The Bloodline clash with Riddle and the Street Profits. So the Blood, including Roman Reigns, is going to have an actual match.
Yeah.
Ooh,
on Raw. It's Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Rey Mysterio celebrates 20th anniversary. And then Mysterios also have a match against Judgment Day as Dom joining Judgment Day tonight.
Oh, man, I hope that Judgment Day just squashes this. You know, Judgment Day's got 2 Triple H guys there. It's got Finn Balor, big Triple H guy. And then it's got Damian Priest. I feel like Triple H really liked Damian Priest as hot tub party guy, tub party vampire.
Yeah, they should bring that character back.
He's like the Nick Kroll guy in What We Do in the Shadows.
Exactly. Just give him the hat.
What is that puckering sensation in the back of my head? It's the witch's asshole.
Yeah. Let's give him the hat. Then Logan Paul presents Impulsive TV. Impulsive.
Yeah, guess what? That's not happening. Sorry. Logan Paul, I don't know. I don't like the fact that you called me brother when you signed your contract. So you're out. You're out. Sorry. You're trash. You're trash.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and answer some questions over at Friendo Club TV on the YouTube channel over there. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald, here to tell you to go support Going In Raw on Friendo Club at patreon.com patreon.com/Steven Larson. They got bonus episodes, ad-free audio, a weekly newsletter rounding up the week in wrestling news, and a bunch more. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. Go support or get hit with a stunner.